Hey, Pearland, coming to you live from the Public Safety Building, where our Emergency Operations Center has been open for a couple of days now with Hurricane Beryl. So here we go. We're going to go out and hit the streets. We're going to go and take a look at what our city looks like following the storm coming through overnight. So I'm going to take you along the way and talk through what we see and maybe talk a little bit about next steps here in our city as we transition into a recovery phase for everyone in our city. So let's do a ride along. Oh, there it is. All right.
Pulling out of PSB. We're going to Shadow Creek Parkway and Business Center Drive.
Shadow Creek Parkway and Business Center Drive. All right. Good.
So, Mayor, if you want to just describe where we're going and what we're doing, you're on air.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how many people know where our PSB or the police station really is located, but we're right here off of Cullen Parkway, just north of Broadway, or also known as 518. So we'll be coming out of the gate here in just a few minutes and heading to our right down to McCard Road, which turns into Shadow Creek Parkway once we cross the freeway. We had some pretty interesting turn of events during the course of the storm overnight. We've all been housed up at the Emergency Operations Center for better part of, some people for the better part of 24 hours now. I was there by about 6 o'clock last night, was there for a little bit. Went to the house and was able to make it back by 11:30 before the storm turned bad.
Man, we do have a question. Somebody asked when they should expect power to be back on.
Yeah, so great question on the power question. Obviously, that is all done through CenterPoint. We are working with CenterPoint now on what the next stages are. They have told us that they have some 2 million people without power, and they are estimating now that the total recovery for that would be 5 to 7 days. What that means for us specifically, I'm not sure yet. We do have a list of what we call critical infrastructure, our wastewater plants, our water plants, things of that nature that do require power, and we get on that list so we can fast track that. And obviously, when that happens, that will help the neighborhoods that are in proximity to that to come back up. So. We have yet to get a real good schedule of what comes next with CenterPoint, as everybody is still trying to assess damage throughout their community. In fact, we have our public works crews on the street and have been now for about an hour doing some windshield assessments, also checking in all of our facility folks, going by checking out all of our facilities from the plants to firehouses and the like. And so you can see the water ponding up here just off of Cullen Parkway in the front areas of some of these. Of course, these ditches are built to do that, but back off onto the property of this flat land, you're going to see that with the amount of water that we got overnight. And in fact, the amount of water that we have been able to estimate now knocked on the door of 12 inches overnight, and really not the full overnight. Really from about 4 a.m. on. It was light rain up until about 4 a.m. and from 4 a.m. to now, which, good grief, is now 9 hours, we received about almost 12 inches of rainfall in most of Pearland. The western edge of our city over in Shadow Creek was closer to the eye wall. The eye wall itself, when it passed through the area, 521, our western edge as a city, was about 5 miles from the edge of the eye wall, so we were very close to that. But having said that, that's some of the most intense parts of a hurricane is right at or near the eye wall. We didn't make it into the eye wall, but we were very close to it. So some of those winds were very damaging in that part of our city. So we want to kind of go and make sure we're doing well. I have heard reports, trees obviously damaged, trees down. In fact, I saw a friend of mine on Facebook just before getting in the van that had a large tree come down on his vehicle overnight. We're going to see and hear those stories, I think, throughout our community. We are going to see some roof damage. Prediction on the early part of the storm is most of the predictors didn't think we would see too much by way of roof damage, but then again, with the gust that we ended up with, we had gusts probably into the 70-mile-an-hour mark, and you know, when you have those types of gusts, just about anything can happen from a wind standpoint. So that's why we were, you know, asking everybody, do everything you can to tie down or remove or move inside anything that's not tied down, because it will find a way to turn loose. And you know, education's on a storm. We were on the dirty side, the right side of the east side of the storm is what they call the dirty side of the storm. Here is a detention pond over here off of McCard Park, McCard, as we travel back towards 288. It's a large detention pond. You can see it's got a little bit more area to go, but it filled up overnight. The Drainage District number 4 has a pond over by on the other side of this ditch that we're coming up on, and it actually looks very good. It doesn't look anywhere near its high bank, so it's in pretty good shape. As we drive down McCard here, the street, and some of the vegetation looks good. These trees look in pretty decent shape right through here, but we really, I think, dodged a bullet in a lot of ways. This storm could have gotten much bigger, much bigger if it would have intensified. So fortunately, it had that dry air and that shear in it that was keeping it from forming and getting stronger. You can see some damage here by the golf course next to Country Place. Pine tree looks like it came split in half right there. So that type of damage we are going to see all over the community. You know, as our community has gotten a little bit older and some of these trees are now 20, 30, and 40 years old, they're getting large enough where a storm like this is gonna do some damage to them. So we're gonna see that in the days to come. I have been asked about storm debris. The city is required, if we're gonna have any type of if we have any kind of storm damage, that we have to have a storm debris contract, and that contract has to be in place before these storms obviously hit. Council put our contract as well as a backup contract in place over the last month. We've got some people stopped in front. I think they were actually trying to take a look at maybe the damage over here off the golf course. So, wow, we have a full tree just completely uprooted over here on the right side of the van. You can see this, it completely uprooted out of the ground. Wow.
You got that, Josh?
It's a massive tree. Sad to see that happens, but unfortunately with an event like this, those are going to be some damages that we can't rebuild and we can't replace. But will happen. So any place that's going to be an open area like this, the golf course, I'm sure some of the other golf courses in town will have similar damage to some of the big trees in the community. But we have a storm damage contract in place. We're out doing these windshield assessments to see if we are going to be able to initiate that contract and put it into place and deploy those companies to come in. So over the next day, hopefully end of the day, today or tomorrow, or sometime tomorrow, we will be able to give you the answer on how the storm debris exactly is going to be done and picked up. If it is through our storm debris hauler, then you will be responsible for getting trees and limbs and things like this to the curb. You won't necessarily have to bundle them because they will be able to grapple them and pick them up. If we don't have enough to initiate that contract, then it will go through the normal Frontier Waste pickup, and unfortunately under that contract we have to bundle them at the house. So fingers crossed as we make that decision over the coming days, or excuse me, over today, hopefully into tomorrow, we can get that so we can get on with recovery there at your house and do this the right way. If you do have additional damage, at this point we don't know if we have anybody that's been flooded. That's some of the assessment that is taking place as we speak. And so obviously storm damage inside a house, carpet, drywall, kitchen cabinets, appliances and that type of thing will all have to be brought to the curb in a certain way for proper disposal. It usually has to be segmented out by type, so that way it gets picked up within its same type. Again, these are FEMA rules. I want to caution people that these are FEMA rules from the federal government, and we front the money. You and I as taxpayers here in Pearland, we front the money to pay for all of this, and then we get it reimbursed by the federal government. And I will tell you, it doesn't take them 30, 60, or 90 days to reimburse. It'll probably be a year or longer to be reimbursed. And along those lines, we only get reimbursed, as a little education point, we only get reimbursed if the storm itself produces enough damage over a certain threshold. And I think the threshold for Texas statewide will be $51 million, which this is impacting many counties in our throughout our state, and so I'm sure we'll probably reach that amount. And then secondly, we have a threshold within our county, and I think it's $1.5 million within our county. We're actually at the intersection of 288 and the frontage road right here, and you see some traffic. So I'm not sure if we picked up the traffic signal, out. That's damage to that traffic signal that was done. It had power because the left turn signal was working. But if you see a signal that's simply not working, as our crews are coming up and doing it, we're coming up on one that looks like is not working. If you see one like that, treat it as a four-way stop. It's real simple. If you don't see the lights working, stop, treat it as a four-way stop, and move on. Remember, you got other neighbors out here. Just watch out for each other as we're driving through, so we're safe on the roads, and our emergency personnel can deal with life-threatening type of situations rather than a fender bender in our intersections. But back to the state and reimbursement, we have to have those types of thresholds, and we have to have a disaster declaration out of the White House. The President of the United States has to issue that. I haven't heard yet if he has issued a declaration for the storm. The governor issued a declaration a couple of days ago, so that's one of the other requirements, is the state has to issue a declaration. And then thirdly, the counties as well as the local municipalities have to issue declarations of disaster. All three counties, Harris County, Fort Bend County, and of course Brazoria County, all did that within the last couple of days. And I issued the disaster declaration here in Pearland 2 days ago. So we exercised that even before the storm came in, so we would be in line for reimbursement should that occur. So again, recovery efforts are expensive. They take a while to get done. Obviously some are bigger than others, but we will be communicating a great deal over the days and hours to come, so we make sure we get the communication out to the community on how, where, and what as we recover. All of these trees right here on Business Center Drive just snapped in two. You know, Josh, that's a point to ask. This is part of an HOA out here in Shadow Creek that did this. This should cost, this is damage to more mature trees, and to replace that or do that should go into that damage estimate. But then again, I'm not FEMA, and I don't know what their rules are specifically to tree damage. But I think what we're going to see the most of is tree damage, landscape damage, and then ultimately I think we'll have spots where we have roof damage as well. So I have heard of a few businesses on the east end of town that have sustained some building damage. But then again, I'm not sure if it was straight wind or if something blew into it. In the midst of a hurricane, being on the dirty side of the storm is where tornadoes get produced. And so if you've got tornado activity, that's a whole different type of wind activity from in a hurricane. So those things can happen, and they cause just all kinds of damage, as they come through. So that's the reason why we don't want people out in the midst of the storm, because if tornadoes are out and about, that's one thing. And then secondly, things become a projectile. Something comes loose, be it a sign, be it a part off of a house, a tree limb, something that you had left in the backyard. It can become a projectile and truly injure someone that may be hit by it. So that's why we always caution to be out of the storm and protected in your house. Hunker down. You're safer in your home than you are out and about. So Joe and Josh, I think it's fair to say we had a fair amount of tree damage. I can only imagine what the other end of town looks like with some of the larger mature trees. We saw that in Hurricane Ike years ago. Lots of large trees that ultimately were really damaged in the wake of that. But a lot of landscaping on these businesses, as they get here to look at it, they'll have to take a look at their damage and assess it.
Sorry, we're recording. I was just going to say wrap the camera up.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Yep.
Camera's right now on the guys.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we still streaming?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Wow. You can see just a debris field of trees, limbs, not unlike many homes across the community, I'm sure. this is something that we want to show you because, you know, this is blocking, you know, part of a roadway. Obviously, people could get around by going into one lane barely, but our crew, weather, but the safest place to be right now is in your home, instead of being out on the roadway with debris and this type of thing out here. All right, well, like I said, we've seen a lot of that type of debris, and we'll see a lot of that across our community. And unfortunately, it just takes time to, you know, to clean it up. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it takes manpower to get out and do it. And the city will be out in our right-of-ways doing what we can, and of course, private businesses and private property owners will be out in the days to come as well, you know, doing what they need to do to clean up their properties. And so this is going to be a recovery effort. We're going to be moving into that recovery phase of a storm. There's always phases of a storm. There's the pre, you know, where we get ready for it and prepare for it, and then ultimately storm comes through, and then we have to assess and then recover. So hopefully it won't take too long to recover. That really comes down to the sheer amount of damage that we have. What we don't know, as mentioned earlier, is exactly how long power is going to take to restore. I will tell you, with Hurricane Ike in 2008, it took upwards of 13 days to restore power. Some parts of the city came back up fairly quickly. Other parts, it literally took 13 days to come back up because we had some major backbone of the service feeds that were damaged as a result of the storm. So some power takes longer than others. So we just ask people to be patient. We just ask people to be patient as we get through it. We will interface with CenterPoint as much as we can to make sure that we are being taken care of, that we're not forgotten, that we're not, you know, all resources going to another community or another area, but yet we are in line to get our help. One of those things, like I said, we do essential facilities, critical infrastructure facilities are on their critical list, and we have quite a extensive list of those. So we like to get those, and if they're without power, we get after CenterPoint to help get those restored, and then businesses and neighborhoods around those can come up quicker. So strategically, we try to do that. Josh, we got any other questions?
I think we're good.
Good. Good.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll wrap this up a little bit. Just wanted to put you on the road, show you something that we're seeing. I think I'll make a little joke. Let's make light of a very difficult situation. Once you've seen one tree down, you've probably seen them all. So no need to just necessarily get out and see everything on the roadway. Stay in your house, stay safe. This is why you've got, you know, hopefully provisions, water, canned goods for food for a few days, and give the city crews today the opportunity to clear some of these roadways up and make our traveling around the community safe. As always, it is a pleasure to be the mayor of this great city, and together, each one of us, you and I, as well as our city crews, we will work every day to make sure that we recover fully and will thrive in the days to come as a result and after this storm. So thank you, stand by, more information to come. Thank you.